KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon, and this is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL's top story this hour. A jury trial is now underway in Salt Lake County for a man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges. KSL News Radio's Adam Small was in the courtroom today.
After years of investigation and a legal battle to bring him to Utah, Nicholas Rossi was wheeled into court today to stand trial for the alleged rape of his ex-fiancée in 2008. Rossi was brought in a wheelchair connected to an oxygen tank and dressed in a suit and tie. All 10 jurors were seated, heard opening arguments, then heard testimony from the woman who claims Rossi raped her 17 years ago. Rossi stayed silent and kept his eyes towards her when she battled tears, telling the court he assaulted her after she tried to break things off with him. Court documents say she reported it to police after seeing Rossi on the news when he was fighting extradition from Scotland, where he moved to and went by the name Arthur Knight after he allegedly faked his own death. He's facing a separate rape charge in Utah County that prosecutors say also happened in 2008. He was identified through a DNA rape kit in that case several years later. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. President Trump is ordering a crackdown on crime in the nation's capital. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reports from the White House.
The president says Washington, D.C. is in need of rescue.
From crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse.
Even as official D.C. police data shows violent crime is down year to date, President Trump is invoking a never-before-used power in the D.C. Home Rule Act to take temporary control of the city's Metropolitan Police Department. DEA Administrator Terry Cole will oversee the 3,400-member force as its interim federal commissioner. Trump is also sending hundreds of National Guardsmen into the streets of the city. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, the White House.
We will continue to have more on this throughout the afternoon. Be sure to download the KSL News Radio app to listen to our live coverage or sign up for push alerts with the latest developments. Salt Lake City is seeing more violent crimes this year compared to previous years. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The number of homicides for the first half of the year are down compared to 2024, but we're seeing more cases of rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. According to data compiled by the Major Cities Chiefs Association, it's a stark difference from what we're seeing nationally, where all 4 categories are on the decline. The report comes as Salt Lake City Police Chief Brian Redd tries to find his groove. The department and Mayor Mendenhall are working together to crack down on crime in the city after she recommended the previous police chief, Mike Brown, resign earlier this year.
Mayor Mendenhall gave an update on the city's safety plan last month, saying that they are on track to accomplish their long-term goals. A man has been arrested on suspicion of robbery and kidnapping after police say he stole a car with an infant in the back seat from the Gateway. Salt Lake City police say the mother stepped away from the car while it was running in the Gateway Mall parking garage. That's when they say Carlos Castellanos hopped in and tried to drive away. The mother chased the car and was dragged several feet before he stopped and let her grab the baby. He drove away but was later found and arrested. Coming up at 12:15, we will talk to the group Kids and Car Safety, who will talk to us about how to prevent this type of situation from happening to you. Utahns are split on how they feel about the national economy, but feel very positive about the state's. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has details.
In a poll conducted by Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute of Politics, 49% of respondents said they felt the national economy is going in the wrong direction, while 40% think it's going just fine. When it comes to Utah, though, over half think the state is going in a positive direction. A public finance fellow at University of Utah says this viewpoint reflects the state's position. Utah has a higher GDP than the national rate, but the state economy is still reliant on what happens nationally, and he says we'll have to wait a little longer to see how inflation caused by tariffs plays out. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Other national stories KSL is following this hour. The Trump administration is now preparing for a high-stakes meeting in Alaska between President Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin about the war in Ukraine. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be noticeably missing from the discussion. ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz has more.
The Ukrainian president is left on the sidelines of this week's meeting. Several European leaders, including France, Germany, and the UK, issuing a joint statement insisting the path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Ukraine.
The president has already suggested any deal would involve swapping territory, something Zelensky has made clear that he will not do. Two Delta planes clipped each other in Atlanta this weekend. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
A Delta flight was pushing back from the gate in Atlanta before taking off for Guatemala, but the airline tells CNN a wing of the flight, it made contact with another Delta jet. That second jet, it was empty, but everyone on board the first flight, they had to get out. They had to wait for another plane. No one was injured, but this comes less than 2 weeks after a Salt Lake City flight to Amsterdam. It hit severe turbulence, and 25 people, they ended up in a hospital after an emergency landing in Minnesota. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
First look at traffic. Let's check in now with Jason Jones. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Maria, it's this problem that we've got eastbound on I-80 approaching the 215. They're still trying to clean that accident up, but delays still stretch back to Bangerter Highway, and that's going to cause you a little bit of delay to get through that area this morning. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thank you for joining us for Midday, recapping our top local story. It's day one in the trial of Nicholas Rossi. He's the man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges. KSL News Time, 12:08. Schools across Utah are trying their best to retain teachers. The superintendent of the Jordan School District credits hiring the right people from the start for their more than 80% teacher retention rate. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
The Jordan School District hired almost 300 new teachers for the start of this school year. Superintendent Dr. Anthony Godfrey says most of them are expected to stick around long term because of how they're treated from the beginning.
New teachers are all put into a program where they have support throughout the year.
Dr. Godfrey says upping the starting salary for new teachers to $60,000 a year is also bringing in more people.
It's also higher for experienced teachers as well.
While many other schools around the country are struggling to hire and keep teachers, the Utah State Board of Education says Utah's retention rate has been very consistent over the last decade at 91%. Dr. Godfrey says they have structures in place to make sure teachers feel part of a team. Heather Kelly, KSL News Radio.
Rising tuition is one of the things that keeps students out of higher education, but it's not the only reason. Salt Lake Community College President Dr. Greg Peterson tells the KSL Deseret News editorial board it's all the other life factors that get in the way, and that's why SLIC has been working to find other ways to support students.
We have food pantries in partnership with food banks across our campuses that are accessible for students. We have childcare opportunities to support students, and every one of our students receives a UTA pass.
The fall semester starts in about 2 weeks. Peterson says 90% of SLIC students graduate with any college loan debt. Car insurance premiums are projected to jump up 7% by the end of the year if these tariffs continue. KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez has more.
Certified financial planner Jerica Espinosa says that while Utah is below the national average, Utahns could soon be paying around $2,000 a year in car insurance. Espinosa says the tariffs impact the cost of repairing a vehicle because it makes it more expensive to import the parts. She says this jump in cost could affect low-income households and families with multiple cars.
Espinosa says Utah drivers should shop around for the best prices and talk to their insurance agent. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And what's happening, Jason?
Well, Maria, we do have this accident. It's eastbound on I-80 just before you get to the 215 interchange. There's a truck that's up on top of the barrier. They're trying to get that truck off. You got vehicles on the left shoulder, on the right shoulder. The left lane is blocked, and it's UHP's over on the west side, and so that's kind of slowing traffic there as well. But at this point, the traffic only stretches back to Bangor Highway, so it's only about 15 to 20 minutes to get through there. You might want to take Bangor down to the 201 as an alternate, but otherwise, it shouldn't take that long to get through there. And the rest of your commute's looking pretty good at this point. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, after a weekend full of the 80s, we'll go to low 90s today, mostly sunny skies, official high of 92. 67 overnight, mostly clear skies. We'll go mostly clear again tomorrow, 96. Before you know it, it's Wednesday and the high is 100 degrees. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And sunshine and 85 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. And still to come on Midday with Maria Shilaos. Parents' worst nightmare, leaving the car for just a second only for it to be stolen with your child inside. We will talk to the director of Kids and Car Safety. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. It's sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Last thing you want with temperatures this hot is a company to come out and try to upsell you. I mean, with At Your Service Pros, they came out to my home. They gave me all of my options. They told me about all of the rebates that were available. They gave me a really great estimate that was a lot less than the other people that I had called. And it's no surprise to me that this family-owned company has a nearly perfect 4.9 star rating. At Your Service Pros will take care of all of your heating and air, plumbing, and electrical needs. And they truly feel the driving factor behind their company's success is putting their people first, helping people get and stay healthy, and providing a ton of quality information to help their customers stay informed. This month, they have started a YouTube channel called Healthy Water and Air, and At Your Service Pros is giving you a chance to win a free air conditioning system. All you need to do is go in and comment on their YouTube videos, and they'll also give you a second opportunity to nominate someone to win a free air conditioning system. Visit YouTube for restrictions and information. Just go to YouTube, search Healthy Water and Air, watch the AC giveaway video, and you can just subscribe and just put a hi in the comments to double your chances of winning. And you can also email them at office@healthywaterandAirutah.com. That is At Your Service Pros.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs Dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value, completely free. StubbsDental.com.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, We're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Get Mr. Mac's Performance Missionary Package. Includes 1 performance suit, 4 head collar stretch shirts, 3 ties, 1 mission belt, 1 pair of Echo or Johnston & Murphy shoes, all for just $695 at Mr. Mac.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. KSL News Time is 12:15, and the 3 things that you need to know this hour. First,
close to half of Utah feels the national economy is going in the wrong directions, but feel more confident about the state. I'm KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Second, opening arguments in the trial of Nicholas Rossi today. He's the man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges. Third, traffic and weather together, Jason.
And they're working hard to get this accident cleared up eastbound on I-80 just before the 215. In fact, the delays are starting to move through there a little bit better now. So hopefully it'll be back to normal in the next little bit. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Finally, no red flags within state borders. Cooler today and calm winds. I'm Matt Johnson.
A lot of sunshine, 85 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. 1 person is dead, 2 others are missing after an explosion at a U.S. steel plant in Clairton, Pennsylvania.
It sounded like a really big bang. You know, at first you don't think of nothing because they thought it was the train cars because I live right there as the tracks.
Dozens of people reported to be hurt. Clairton Mayor Richard Latanzi says while the cause is not known.
My message to the public is just pray for these people and their family. There's no time there to be pointing fingers and all that. Let's just pray for a good outcome.
The ATF is responding to the explosion. In Washington, D.C., President Trump's ordering a crackdown on crime. The president says Washington, D.C. is in need of rescue.
From crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor. And worse.
Even as official D.C. police data shows violent crime is down year to date, President Trump is invoking a never-before-used power in the D.C. Home Rule Act to take temporary control of the city's Metropolitan Police Department. DEA Administrator Terry Cole will oversee the 3,400-member force as its interim federal commissioner. Trump is also sending hundreds of National Guardsmen into the streets of the city. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, the White House. The president also downplayed hopes of an immediate peace deal when he meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday.
This is really a feel-out meeting, a little bit.
He says he will tell Putin it's time to end the war in Ukraine. He also showed frustration towards Ukrainian President Zelensky's comments about needing congressional approval for a land swap agreement. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says officials in his state are still working to get Democratic lawmakers back. 13 of them left, denying Republicans a quorum as they try to redraw congressional maps. Democratic State Representative John Busey told ABC.
We have a political constitutional right to stop them from having a body and to have quorum, and we're not going to let them do it.
So far, Republicans have been unable to reach a quorum in the state house. You're listening to ABC News.
When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah,
There's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. We're now learning about a scary situation last week when a car was stolen with a baby inside from the Gateway parking garage. Luckily, the man stopped just long enough for the mother to grab her baby back. But Kids and Car Safety says we've already had 51 cases of kids left unattended in a car that wound up being stolen. Joining me now live is Amber Rollins, the Director of Kids and Car Safety, and thank you so much for being with me.
Hi there. Thanks so much for having me.
Amber, talk to me about those numbers. Is there anything in common with those cases that we can learn from?
Well, these cases really are all very similar. They don't happen in, quote unquote, bad neighborhoods. They're happening in places where people least expect it to happen and where they feel kind of comfortable walking away from their car for a minute. Mostly, places like convenience store parking lots, the driveway of people's homes. Car thieves are watching and waiting because these are crimes of opportunity. They know people are going to leave their car running or their keys sitting inside just to run in somewhere real quick. And most of the time, they have no idea there's a child in the back seat until they've already taken off with that car and the child in tow. And you can imagine the panic that sets in as soon as they realize, oh my gosh, I have now stolen a car and a child. And really, really scary things happen after that. We've had high-speed chases, children dumped on the side of the road. We've even had situations where the child lost their life. So this is easily preventable. And something that, it's just don't leave them in the car, not even for a minute.
We know that parents are stressed out. They're frazzled these days. Are there some options for them?
Yeah, especially coming out of the pandemic, we have so many different options. So, we always tell parents, set yourself up for success. Do your shopping online, do the grocery delivery, eliminate those risks, pay at the pump, and just know that it's never okay to put our convenience above the safety of our children. I'm a mom. I've got kids in the 5-point harness, and I know it's a lot of work to buckle, unbuckle, especially if you forgot something inside and you're just going to run in for 1 second. What could go wrong? I think that's what goes through people's minds. And a lot can go wrong in less than a minute. So it's just make it a 100% rule that you never leave the kids alone in the car, not even to run back into the garage to grab something.
Amber, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Stay safe.
That is Amber Rollins, the Director of Kids and Car Safety. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Jason Jones.
Almost done with this accident now, eastbound I-80. They are in the final cleanup stages, I guess I should say. However, the left lane remains blocked, and it's also affecting kind of the right shoulder as well. But traffic's starting to move quite a bit better through there. That's the bad news. The good news, well, it's kind of good news itself. The good news is the rest of your commute is looking pretty fantastic. No problems at all, north or southbound on I-15. Into the canyons is moving smoothly, and your side streets also looking really good. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I got a warm-up midweek, then a cool-down for the weekend. How about 92 today? Mostly sunny skies, that's below normal. 96 tomorrow, mostly clear. On your Wednesday, partly cloudy, hot, 100 degrees. We'll cool it to 96 on Thursday. It'll be breezy, mostly cloudy, maybe even a slight chance for a shower. Partly cloudy, 93 on Friday, still breezy. Saturday, partly cloudy, 92. We keep it in the low 90s on your Sunday, mostly clear. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Sunny and 84 degrees downtown. 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. And a quick check of the markets. I'm seeing a lot of red today. Complete update of your money news is coming up next.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
KSL News Time, 12:25. With opening day around the corner, the National Football League is making recommendations to improve security league-wide after a deadly shooting near the Midtown Manhattan offices earlier this month that killed 4 people. ABC's Will Reeve has more.
According to a new memo sent to all 32 teams and obtained by ESPN, the NFL recommending 3 changes: updated threat assessments to identify risks, armed law enforcement or security officers at team and league facilities, and weapons screenings to enter those locations, similar to game day procedures.
The security measures will be at every team's training facility spanning across the country. Watching Utah's money, more Americans are worried about the cost of food. CNN reports 53% of people, say grocery bills are a major stress, and 33% say it's a minor stress. Prices of acai smoothies and bowls are expected to go up this year thanks to President Trump's imposed 50% tariffs on Brazilian exports. The acai, the U.S. is the largest acai importer, getting 70,000 tons per year. AI is helping create more billionaires than ever. There are now almost 500 private AI companies with valuations of $1 billion or more. CNBC reports combined they are worth $2.7 trillion. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 186 points, about 0.5%, sitting at 43,989. S&P 500 down by 6 points, and the Nasdaq down by 16 points. In an age of nearly universal Wi-Fi and super fast broadband, it's hard to imagine a time when connecting to the internet took some time and effort. ABC's Jim Ryan says it's the end of an era.
For Americans of a certain age, the blast from the past has the unmistakable squawk, squelch, and squeal of a dial-up internet connection. The Census Bureau says that at last count, 163,000 American households were still using only dial-up. But after more than 4 decades, AOL is discontinuing its dial-up service on September 30th, along with supporting software. Subscribers will still have the option of AOL's friendly announcement.
You've got mail.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
19 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
Have you seen those billboards that have a giant turtle on them that say win a new air conditioner? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you're probably wondering, what's that all about? Well, the turtle is a character in our new TV commercials that'll be airing this summer. I know it's kind of silly, but we're always trying to figure out how to grab attention and stand out in a crowded market. We thought a big turtle would do the trick. Another thing we're doing is every week this summer, Any Hour is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer. We're calling it the Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how it works. This summer, if you get an estimate to replace your air conditioner or purchase a new air conditioner from Any Hour Services, you'll automatically be entered into our weekly drawing. If your name is drawn, Any Hour will pay for your air conditioner, up to $8,750. We just want to meet more homeowners that are in the market for a new air conditioner and have the chance to earn their business. We're confident that once you have an Any Hour technician in your home, you'll see why we have over 28,000 Google reviews. No purchase is necessary. See official rules at anyhour.com.
KSL News Time, 1229. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Jason Jones.
Well, almost able to breathe a sigh of relief eastbound on I-80. There is still some delay there. The accident is in the cleanup stages. Both eastbound and westbound is where you're going to find the delay. Obviously, westbound not quite as bad as the eastbound side, but still only about 15 minutes to get through there now. The rest of your commute still looking pretty fantastic. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly clear skies today with a high of 92 by afternoon. 67 in the overnight, clear skies. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 96. We'll hit 100 degrees on Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, a lot of sunshine and 84 degrees downtown.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time, 1230. KSL's top story this hour. It is national news. President Trump announced today that he has put Washington, D.C.'s police department under federal control and deployed the National Guard.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse.
He declared it a public safety emergency, saying homelessness, illegal immigration, and disrespect for police are contributing to the problem. However, data from the Metropolitan Police Department shows that overall crime in D.C. has decreased by 7% since last year, with violent crime down 26%. U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, hit back at the claim from critics, telling ABC News it's not good enough.
People say, well, crime is down from last year. Well, so what? Last year, crime was too high. We had the fourth largest, highest homicide rate in the nation. So let's stop, namby-pambying this.
So what does the rollout of those troops look like? ABC's Louis Martinez has more.
President Trump talking about 800 D.C. National Guardsmen who Secretary Hexeth said will be out on the streets by the end of the week. We are talking about, that's a third of the size of the D.C. National Guard. Now, what's different with the D.C. National Guard is that, unlike other states, it is not called up by the governor. In the District of Columbia, one would think that the mayor would have that responsibility, but it is not. It is actually the President of the United States, in this case Donald Trump, who has the authority to call up the National Guard within the district for whatever purpose, and that's what he's done here now.
The president says he wants law enforcement to remove homeless encampments from the Capitol. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff spoke to organizations here in Utah that help the homeless, and he joins me now live. Don?
Maria, the executive director of the Crossroads Urban Center, Glenn Bailey, says he's not sure President Trump's approach is going to work long term.
The question is, where will they go? He's made a statement that he wants them out of town, far away from D.C., but I don't really know what that means or where that means or what kind of housing that might be.
Bailey says he has two main problems with President Trump's approach. The first is that people have rights. He says you can't, quote, take people's civil liberties, take away people's civil liberties, whether they're homeless or not. He says the second is if you're going to provide that sort of shelter opportunity, you have to make sure the services are real and that they lead to permanent housing. Reporting live, Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Meanwhile, a bench trial started today in California over whether President Trump had the legal authority to federalize California's National Guard troops and send them into the streets of L.A. during this summer's unrest.
A federal judge initially said in June President Trump did not have the authority to take over control of the National Guard during the unrest here in L.A., but then the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals refused to stop the deployment, finding the president has broad powers and that as it was unfolding, it was hard to second-guess the president's powers. But now the original judge will preside over a full trial and decide if the president had the authority or if he broke the law. No matter what the judge decides, it will probably go back to the Court of Appeals and maybe the Supreme Court. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
An investigation is underway in Ogden after a 3-story apartment building that was under construction burned to the ground on Friday night. Crews were able to get it under control in about an hour despite the immense heat causing some nearby timber and brush to catch fire. Ogden Fire Chief Mike Slater says this could have been a lot worse.
It's just a massive fire volume. The amount of lumber and the amount of wood on a 3-story apartment building is massive. So the amount of heat that comes off that, it has a propensity to cast embers into fields and other properties.
The building is a total loss. A new fire started over the weekend in Tooele County. The Big Springs fire quickly grew to more than 1,400 acres, but firefighters made a lot of progress yesterday, and it's now 75% contained. Meanwhile, firefighters were finally able to contain the Perry fire over the weekend. It burned a little more than 5 acres near the Manaway Reservoir last week. A Utah family had a close call while camping in the backcountry this weekend when the Beulah fire in the Uinta started moving toward them. Nate Weaver tells KSL-TV they couldn't get to their truck because of the fire, so they headed the other direction.
The kids were pretty worried about the situation, but I'm not a huge fan of consuming emergency resources if they're not absolutely necessary.
They ended up hiking 37 miles to get to safety. They used a map, compass, and a satellite text messaging with a family member to find their way out. At last check, the Beulah fire had burned 2,300 acres and had no containment. Utah Fire Info says the current dry conditions means it has a potential to be a long-duration fire. We'll continue to have the latest information for you at KSLNewsRadio.com under the Fired Watch tab in the top left corner. First Look Traffic, here's Jason Jones.
And we're looking pretty decent now, or at least better than we were eastbound I-80. You're going to still slow down once you get to Bangor Highway, but those delays as you approach 215, not too tragic at this point. Only about 10 minutes to get through there as they're just finishing up cleaning up this accident. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:36.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Thank you for joining us for Midday with Maria Shilaos. Recapping our top local story, advocates for the homeless in Utah are questioning President Trump's plan to address homelessness in the nation's capital. KSL News Time, 12:36. There was another fatal motorcycle crash in South Jordan over the weekend. Police say a car was attempting to turn into a parking lot when it hit a motorcycle. That was on Redwood Road near 104 South. The 31-year-old rider died at the scene. Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden recently said motorcycle fatalities have been a huge problem that we've been seeing around the state this year.
They're definitely overrepresented, and it's something that we just need to take seriously and do something about it.
This is at least the 7th fatal motorcycle crash just in South Jordan so far this year. Heads up for drivers in Weber County, 4400 South between 1600 West and Cozy Dale Drive. Starting today will be closed for 3 months while crews demolish and rebuild the bridge over I-15. Later this month, the closure will extend to 1250 West Parker Road for about 6 weeks. UDOT is urging drivers to plan a few extra minutes and to use 31st Street to access the Ogden Airport. 6 new shows have been approved to film in Utah.
The Utah Board of Tourism recently approved nearly $1.7 million in incentives for 4 new movies and 2 television shows to be set and filmed locally. The productions are expected to create more than 400 jobs and spend more than $7 million while filming, according to the Utah Film Commission. Many films choose Utah for the diverse scenery. However, the director of the Film Commission, Virginia Pierce, told KSL's The Movie Show it's also for budget reasons.
Productions are facing budget cuts like everyone is facing budget cuts, and so they're constantly looking for, we got to make sure that we have some state funding in place, and if they can't get it in California, they got to go elsewhere.
The productions hope to join the growing list of famous movies filmed in Utah, such as Footloose, The Sandlot, and Dumb and Dumber. For KSL News Radio, I'm Mike Martinez.
Wildlife officials are considering reintroducing bighorn sheep to Fremont Island. The endangered species are already on Antelope Island and have been thriving over the last 5 years. KSL.com reports Boulder is another location being scouted for the sheep. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. And back to Jason Jones.
And if you're eastbound on I-80, once you get to Bangor Highway, you're still going to slow down a little bit as you negotiate past this accident that happened just before the 215 interchange. But as I've been saying lately, it's getting better. Should only take you 10 minutes or so to get through there now. If you're north or southbound on I-15, you're looking pretty fantastic at this point. There's really no delays. As far up as Ogden and as far down as Payson, it's going to be moving smoothly. Side streets also looking really good at this point. Created sanctuary in the yard with bedding plants from Olson's Greenhouse, locally grown quality flowers to adorn containers on the porch, beds, or patio. For tips and ideas, visit ogg.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
I've got a warming trend starting today. Mostly sunny skies, high of 92. Tomorrow, 96, mostly sunny. Partly cloudy on Wednesday with a hot high of 100 degrees. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, sunny and 84 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City, and still to come on Midday with Maria Shilaos. Why not every college or university in the state is stressed out about state budget cuts? We'll find out coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It is the time of year for you to get ready for back to school and the Labor Day weekend that is not too far off in the distance. It's time to make your reservations for Labor Day at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And while you're doing all of that shopping, getting the kids ready for their higher education, whether it's downtown Salt Lake City or up in the Park City area, there's a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse waiting for you. Now, these long, hard days of shopping, you deserve a treat at the end of that day. And at 275 Southwest Temple in downtown Salt Lake City, Ruth's Chris is ready to take care of you. And up at Park City with the outlets and everything there, why don't you make your reservations at Hotel Park City's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? The meal you have been longing for. Best of all, you don't have to prepare it. You don't have to clean up after it. You just have to sit back and enjoy that delicious steak, entree, dessert, side dishes at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
An Australian hiker travels to the American West to walk a wilderness trail.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
But Eric Robinson vanished in the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
I'm Dave Cawley. Join me on my podcast, Uinta Triangle, where I travel the world to answer the question, what happened to Eric Robinson? Follow Uinta Triangle, that's UINTA Triangle, on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Americans may not agree on much, but we agree on Social Security. We all pay in. It ought to be there when we need it. Social Security could face a funding gap in less than a decade, and I don't want to see a pay cut. I'm with AARP in the fight to protect the Social Security we earned.
Pledge to protect Social Security at aarp.org/weearnedit. That's aarp.org/weearnedit. Paid for by AARP.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
How does a soccer club born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, And in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
KSL News Time, 1245. The three things you need to know this hour first.
A jury trial has begun for a man accused of faking his own death, changing his name, and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges here in Utah. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, homicides are down so far this year in Salt Lake City, but new data shows the city is seeing an increase in other types of violent crime. Third, traffic and weather together, Jason.
And the accident eastbound I-80 approaching the 215 in its final cleanup stages. Still delays stretch back to Bangor Highway, but get better all the time. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunshine with below normal temperatures today, but above normal midweek. I'm Matt Johnson.
Sunshine, 86 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. One person is dead, two others are missing, and dozens are hurt after an explosion at a U.S. steel plant in Clairton, Pennsylvania.
Big bang. You know, at first you don't think of nothing because they thought it was the train cars because I live right there as the tracks.
A man lives nearby. There's no word yet on what caused the explosion, but the ATF is responding along with local emergency crews. For the fourth time, Texas House of Representatives was unable to reach a quorum as more than a dozen Democrats remain out of the state. They're denying Republicans the numbers they need to pursue their plans of redrawing congressional maps. President Trump's activating the National Guard to reduce crime across Washington, D.C., putting the district's police department under federal control. That's despite violent crime falling by 26% over the last year. Ford says it'll spend almost $2 billion to refit a Kentucky plant to produce electric pickup trucks, saying the more affordable new model will change the face of the industry. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Program cuts at most of the state's higher education institutions are a result of realignment ordered by the legislature earlier this year. It's because lawmakers want to make sure the schools invest state funds in programs with a better return on investment for the local economy and for students' future prospects. Salt Lake Community College President Greg Peterson tells the KSL Deseret News editorial board his school feels very supported by the state.
This was a challenging year for higher education, and we ended it without any cuts and a 2.65% COLA. So the legislature has made an investment and continues to make an investment in higher education. In comparison, I came from Arizona. The Arizona legislature funds 0% of the Maricopa Community College system. So we do have a legislature that's invested. Interesting things about Utah. One thing I really appreciate is there is a willingness to engage and have a conversation. So, I came for my interview, have a final interview in the morning, got the call that I got the job, came back to get the celebration announcement. 2 hours later, I was back in my hotel room and I got a text from the governor's office congratulating me, and then a call from President Adams. So that would not have happened in other places where I worked. That community college was that important. And then the ability, even in where 265 started last year and where it ended, there was a significant change. And the legislature was really open to us understanding where they were trying to go and helping us frame it in a way that would keep our missions intact.
He also pushes back on the idea that liberal arts degrees were being targeted.
Sometimes we in higher education make problems, and then people pick up on our problems, and then we get upset that they found our problems. And one of the problems that we created is that we bifurcated liberal arts from career. That's something we did in our institutions, where we said these faculty do career, so they're not really faculty because these faculty liberal arts, and somehow that's better. And in reality, if you look at, for example, you look at our programs, even in humanities and social sciences, they're all connected to some career outcome. our students coming in, if they're interested in English, they're interested in law, in journalism, in education, right? If they're interested in psychology or philosophy law, or they're interested in people field. And so for us, it's really retelling the stories, making sure that our students aren't having to choose, that we're integrating those durable skills into whatever pathway they're on. Because we don't want welders who can't critically think, right? And we want English majors who can get a job.
Dr. Greg Peterson is president of Salt Lake Community College. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Jason Jones.
And we have this accident that's almost cleared now, eastbound on I-80. I've been talking about it all afternoon long. Well, that's mostly because that's the only problem we've got going on. And once that's cleared up, you should be in pretty good shape. So for now, it's still in place. You're still going to be delayed for about 10 minutes to get through there. But the rest of your commute, looking pretty fantastic all along the Wasatch Front. Why settle for a basic night out when all tickets for Utah Symphony and Utah Opera performances are now on sale? Don't wait. Prices go up after August 31st. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast starting at 92 today, mostly sunny skies. We'll climb to 96 tomorrow, mostly clear. On Wednesday, partly cloudy, even slight breeze out of the south, 100 degrees. 96, mostly cloudy with a slight chance for a shower. Yes, on Thursday, a little breezy. 93, partly cloudy on your Friday. Saturday, 92. We are keeping it in the low 90s on Sunday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now it's sunny and 86 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. And a quick check of the markets, still in negative territory. The Dow, the biggest loser, down 186 points this hour. Complete update of your money news is next.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text Office 44 to 32 32 32. Office 44 to 32 32 32. CordellCordell.com.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-298-7906. 800-298-7906.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Jeff Kaplan,
I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 12:54. The Winter Olympics are 6 months away, and there are big questions surrounding the suits worn by some ski jumping athletes. ABC's Sherry Preston has more.
When the Norwegian ski jumping team showed up at the World Championships in March, they dominated the slopes as usual. But some were wondering about whether the ski jumping suits they were wearing were on the up and up. Now the International Ski Federation has charged 2 Olympic gold medal skiers and 3 staffers on the Norwegian team with ethics violations, alleging the suits had been manipulated, designed with more wiggle room to aerodynamically help the athletes soar farther and faster. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, John Deere is investing $20 billion in U.S. operations over the next decade. Fox Business reports it will focus on the development of new products and more advanced manufacturing. Kia is facing some federal audits after its fix to more than 137,000 recalled cars didn't work. The complaint from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the company has been inconsistent with inspections. Paramount is buying UFC rights in a $7.7 billion deal. The 7-year deal includes all 43 live events, including 13 marquee events and 30 fight nights. It's set to start next year. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow losing more ground. The Dow now down by 201 points, sitting at 43,974. S&P 500 down by 8. The NASDAQ down by 23 points. A man has been given an over $1,000 fine for driving 199 miles per hour on the Autobahn in Germany. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
The Autobahn is famous for being a freeway without a speed limit, but that's not completely true. Yes, there are sections without limits, but areas with high congestion near cities, they do have limits. And this driver, he was clocked going 199 miles per hour near Berlin. That's 320 kilometers per hour if you're using the metric system. So what kind of ticket did he get? Well, German police say he got an over $1,000 fine. Points were removed from his driver's license, and he's banned for driving for 3 months. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Jason Jones.
And almost done cleaning up the accident. Eastbound on I-80 approaching the 215. In fact, all the westbound delays are now gone, so you should be able to travel westbound without too much trouble. Eastbound looking better. 5 to 10 minute delay to get through there. The rest of your commute looking pretty fantastic at this point. Discover the art of adventure in Cedar City, the gateway to parks, plays, high elevation recreation, ATV, and downhill trails. Chairlift rides top off with a unique shops and savory bites. Plan a visit at cedarcity.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
And taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front. Well, if you think today's hot is hot, tomorrow is going to be worse and up to 100 degrees by Wednesday. Right now, sunshine and 86 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
President Trump announcing plans to send the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to clean up crime and homelessness. The fight over how much the federal government controls the city ramping up today.
The president has a constitutional obligation to make sure that this city is safe. And he is doing just that by today deploying the National Guard.
The time is 1 o'clock on Monday, August 11th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up,
a law enforcement response to a human needs problem.
We have reaction from local homeless advocates, plus political analysis on how this move may create precedents for other large cities across the country. Also this hour,
there's so much more to learning besides doing an assignment and turning it in for a grade.
KSL in the classroom, we are digging into the issues of chronic absenteeism just as schools start back up this week. But first, our top stories. The man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges in Utah is back in court today for the opening of his Salt Lake County trial. Nicholas Rossi is accused of sexually assaulting a woman he briefly dated in 2008. Court documents say she reported it to police in 2022 after seeing headlines that Rossi was fighting extradition from Scotland. Rossi is expected to stand trial for separate rape charges in Utah County next month. Overall, Utah has kept 91% of its teachers over the last 10 years. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
The Jordan School District Superintendent Dr. Anthony Gottfried tells Inside Sources they make sure all their teachers feel like they're part of a team. It begins when new hires are put into a support program so they know where to turn when questions or problems arise. Gottfried says making sure teachers, but especially the new ones, know they are valued helps keep them working in Utah.
Dr. Godfrey says it actually starts by hiring the right people from the beginning. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump has placed Washington, D.C. under federal control, deploying the National Guard to curb what he calls widespread violent crime.
President Trump talking about 800 D.C. National Guardsmen, who Secretary Hegseth said will be out on the streets by the end of the week. We are talking about, that's a third of the size of the D.C. National Guard. Now, what's different with the D.C. National Guard is that, unlike other states, it is not called up by the governor. In the District of Columbia, one would think that the mayor would have that responsibility, but it is not. It is actually the President of the United States, in this case Donald Trump, who has the authority to call up the National Guard within the district for whatever purpose, and that's what he's done here now.
ABC's Louis Martinez reporting. Rescue crews at a steel plant outside Pittsburgh are working to clear the scene of an explosion where at least one person has died and 2 remain unaccounted for. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the latest.
This happened about 15 miles outside Pittsburgh in an area called Clairton. There is a rescue operation underway, and that is what is making this so stressful for so many families that have loved ones who are working at that steel plant because they do not know what exactly is going on.
Allegheny Health Department is on site monitoring air quality, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is also responding. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 187 points, about 0.5%, sitting at 43,989. S&P 500 down by 6, and the NASDAQ down by 18 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking accounts. And here's Jason Jones.
And the accident eastbound I-80 is gone, and so you don't have to worry about the delays there anymore. In fact, there's no delays anywhere else. So we're looking along the Wasatch Front. North and southbound I-15 has been pretty fantastic for the last little while. It continues that way with no accidents or delays from Ogden down to Payson. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
No showers in the forecast for today and tomorrow. The high temperature today, 92, but up to 100 degrees on Wednesday. Then some showers moving in on Thursday. 86 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things.
I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink? Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol.
If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble. Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs Dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value completely free. StubbsDental.com.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. President Trump says he's going to make Washington, D.C. safe again by deploying the National Guard to reestablish law and by placing the D.C. police under federal control.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening. They've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
At a press conference this morning, he says cash bail is a problem.
Every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out.
The president calling out other large cities across the country for what he says are rapidly increasing crime rates. In Chicago, he says car thefts have doubled over the past 5 years, carjackings have tripled, and murders in 2023 reached the highest rate in 25 years.
We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone.
This weekend, teams of FBI and other federal agents were reassigned to patrol the nation's capital. Right now, in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser is reacting to the president's comments and actions this morning.
And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised. I can say to DC residents that we will continue to operate our government in a way that makes you proud. We will balance our budgets. We will deploy our services. Our kids are going to start school on August 25th. And we will work with the federal government to do the things that they should do for our city, including making sure that we have the judges that we need, including making sure that all federal parks are supported, not just with law enforcement, but with other clean and safe activities, and including making sure that our economy is supported by rational federal actions as it relates to the federal workforce, federal workers, and federal property in the District of Columbia. So with that, I want to ask Chief Smith to talk about her interactions with the federal forces, federal police and law enforcement that have been engaged in the district over the last several days, and the strategy that she thinks would be important while we have additional federal police officers.
And that is Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser talking about the president's actions to take federal control of the D.C. police force. Here in Utah, the executive director for the Crossroads Urban Center in Salt Lake City is reacting to President Trump's actions. Glenn Bailey spoke with KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff. He joins me. Don joins me now live in the studio. So, Don, what is Bailey saying about the president's plans?
Well, first of all, he's skeptical. One of the things that President Trump kind of emphasized this morning is that he wants to sweep the homeless population out of D.C. Bailey says there's about 6,000 homeless people in the D.C. area, and his big question is, where will these people go? You can't just say, oh, we're going to get rid of them, and what are you going to do with them? And so he says you can't just move them out. So are you going to create shelters? And okay, if you put them in a shelter, what happens next? What happens after the shelter? You can't just say, well, okay, we're in the shelter and now you're going to go and have houses. There's got to be somewhere for these people to go. You can put them in a short-term, he actually called it a concentration camp, a short-term shelter, and then there's got to be somewhere that they can get to after that.
Does Bailey think that something like this, what the president's doing there, that this could happen here?
It's kind of a yes or no answer.
Well, I think there's some evidence that we're headed in a similar direction. I don't know about sweeping people off the streets as aggressively as what the president has proposed, but there has been talk about relocating people to a super shelter of some sort, where hopefully they would get services, and I guess that would be my main concern. I'd have two, really. One, people have rights. People have civil liberties, whether they're homeless or not. You can't just take away people's rights because they have no place to live. Secondly, if you are going to provide that sort of a shelter opportunity, make sure the services are for real and that they lead to permanent housing, not services that we talk about but never actually fund and provide.
Maria, what Bailey is saying is that the role of government is to look beyond people's appearances and into the kinds of lives that they're leading and what they can help with, what the government can actually help with, and what these people really need. He says that the only way we're going to actually solve this problem is to spend some money on it. He says, unfortunately, that's been very unpopular. He says, for a long time, we've kind of done this halfway thing where, oh, we're gonna look like we're doing something. He said, but the problem with homelessness in the United States really has to be addressed on a funding issue, and it's a long-term funding issue. You're going to have to actually spend some money to take care of this problem. It's not just going to go away.
No. Thanks, Don, for joining me. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff in the studio, tracking local reaction to President Trump's moving the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to clean up crime and homelessness. Stay with us. We'll get some political analysis on this move in just 60 seconds.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
President Trump announced today he has put Washington, D.C.'s police department under federal control and deployed the National Guard to essentially stop violent crime in the capital. Has this kind of thing happened before, and what are some of the legal or political ramifications of this move? Midday's executive producer Andy Cupp spoke to a lawyer and political insider, Aaron Ryder, who also used to co-host Inside Sources and is a former D.C. resident, to get her perspective.
Yeah, it's certainly a big move for the president to make. I mean, there have been conversations for a long time about the president, or at least the federal government, maybe stepping in and, DC statehood rights and all sorts of things. Lots of conversation there, and some of that is just because of how DC is set up and how they interact with the federal government. But it's still a fairly unprecedented move for the president to just say, that's it, we're taking over, and to take his cabinet and basically put them in place of all of these different departments within DC proper. So it's a big deal.
And it's kind of interesting because it does come, on the day when there's supposed to be hearings on whether or not he could send in the National Guard into a state like California. And there's that whole argument there on, is it under the governor or is it under the president? But that's not even like a thing in DC, right? Like the mayor of DC, do they call out the National Guard, or is this really in DC it is under the purview of the president, no questions asked?
Yeah, so so when you're talking about a state like California, you're getting into a federalism argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is about states' rights versus the federal government. And in that case, it's a question of, can the federal government come in and tell the National Guard what to do in the state of California, where the state of California has rights because it is a state. DC does not have those same kind of rights. DC is not a state. And so because of that, DC has to get their funding from Congress. Every year, Congress has to appropriate a certain amount for DC's budget. And so there's this weird kind of connection between DC and the federal government. Now, that being said, DC has its own, does have a level of government. It has a mayor, it has a council, right? Like, there is a layer of government there that in some ways function kind of like a state government to run the day-to-day operations of DC, even though they ultimately have to get a lot of their authority and funding from Congress. So, I think this is a little bit of a murky area in DC. Does the president have the ability to go and kind of take over DC? To me, it still feels like a little bit of that federalism argument, because you have the mayor and the council there who are, theoretically supposed to be doing stuff like this. So it brings up an interesting question. If the president's unhappy with the direction that the mayor is going, can he just say, okay, I don't care about your responsibilities in this area. I'm just going to take it over and do it myself. I think that's problematic, and I think there's some issues. Certainly it sets a precedent that I don't know we want to go down, but there's also no question that DC has not delivered on this issue. I mean, crime in DC is rough, and when I lived in DC, it was an issue. When I went back after COVID, it was an even worse issue. Like, DC has just sort of notoriously not been good at handling this, and now you have the president saying, enough, like, we can't do this anymore, you have not delivered, so fine, we have no choice but to do it for you. So you have kind of multiple sides playing into this. Is there a clear-cut path here? I don't know, but it's certainly kind of a gray, murky area.
Do you know off the top of your head if this kind of thing has ever happened before in DC, or has it really been kind of a hands-off approach from the federal government when it comes to their own policing and law enforcement?
That's a great question. Certainly in the history of DC, I don't know that I could give you a good answer on that. In my experience and my time in DC, I never saw anything like this. Again, there are certainly some overlaps. We saw some of that with January 6th, right? And how you had DC, like Capitol Police, and there was a lot of overlap between like the DC Metro and what was happening on the Capitol. But generally speaking, they function as relatively separate entities, and DC does not really get in Congress does not really get in the business of running the DC police force.
Erin says in the end, she'll be really interested to see what precedent this move leaves behind. A summit between the U.S. and Russia to be held this week on former Russian territory, the good state of Alaska. We'll get a preview next. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Jason Jones.
And we are accident-free and basically delay-free along the Wasatch Front, north and southbound on I-15s, moving smoothly all the way from Ogden down to Payson. Seeing a little bunching if you're over on Mountain View Corridor around 3500 South, but that's kind of typical stuff. Otherwise, everything else is looking pretty decent at this point. The Good Feet store supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Not going to lie, it's not easy to watch your waistline when you're on vacation. I've been gone for, a little bit over a weekend. It was a tough one, and I'm going to have to take off a few of those pounds that I put on, just enjoying the good foods that we all just love. But that's where I really love Salt Lake City Fat Loss, because with this great program, I lost more than 40 pounds, and with their great app, I've been able to keep track of what my weight is doing, and they've given me great resources to keep that weight off. This is a great program. If you are thinking about taking off those extra pounds right now, you can save $200 right now, and it's a great natural program. You don't have to worry about any sort of side effects from things like medications or injections or anything like that. I've loved this program because for the first time, I didn't have to exercise for over an hour a day to boost my metabolism and take off those pounds. In fact, other than just a little light walking, I didn't do much exercise at all, and I still lost more than 40 pounds. You will love their app as well. It gives you great inspiration and resources during the diet process and during the maintenance. And right now, save $200 at slcfatloss.com. You can call them at 801-450-1882. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
19 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
Everyone needs a checking account, so get the one with built-in benefits to complement your unique lifestyle. Mountain America's My Style Checking has perks no one can pass up. You'll enjoy sizzling restaurant deals, peace of mind mobile phone protection, timely telehealth access, built-in identity protection, and clutch loan rate discounts. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. A high-stakes meeting this week between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. This morning, the president told reporters that the meeting this week will be held in Alaska and will be a feel-out kind of meeting.
I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible. But that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did.
On this episode of the Start Here podcast, host Brad Milkey previews the meeting with ABC's Selena Wang.
Over the last couple of months, you've seen this back and forth in the way President Trump has talked about the war in Ukraine. Like earlier this year, Trump was really portraying Ukraine as the unreasonable one, the country who, despite being invaded, wasn't willing to face reality in order to secure a lasting peace. Well, then, as Russian bombs kept falling, President Trump seemed to echo what observers have been saying for years, that maybe calls and assurances from Russian President Vladimir Putin meant nothing.
We thought we had that settled numerous times. And then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev.
So over the last couple weeks, it seemed like Putin had finally lost all that goodwill from Trump that he had spent years cultivating. Well, then late last week, the White House announced it was now planning a meeting between the two men. Not only will Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin be meeting face to face, but it appears they will be meeting on American soil later this week. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is at the West Wing right now. Selena, a ton happening over the last few days. What is the plan at this moment for this big summit?
There are still a lot of questions, but we do have a date and we have a location. It's going to be in Alaska on U.S. soil, as you say, the first time Putin is going to be stepping foot on U.S. soil in about 10 years. And in terms of the timing, just days from now on Friday. Now, in terms of who is going to be there, it is going to be Trump and Putin for sure. What's unclear, though, is what role Ukraine's President Zelensky will play. He is remaining on the sidelines right now, but the White House says that President Trump is open to Zelensky joining. But as we are talking right now, he is not joining, and that's got European leaders very concerned that some sort of peace deal is going to be negotiated and hashed out without Europeans or Zelensky at the table. So it's really been a diplomatic scramble over these last few days. The Europeans want to make sure that their voices are heard. Vice President J.D. Vance had this hastily scheduled meeting with some European and Ukrainian officials. They want to make sure that they have a say in how all of this goes down.
What is the significance of this summit, and especially on American soil? That seems like a huge thing. Selena Wang again.
Well, first of all, the timing of all of this is striking. Trump announced this meeting with Putin on the exact same deadline day that he had given to President Putin to either end the war or face tough new sanctions. The war, of course, has not ended. The fighting has only escalated. But instead of getting any penalties, President Trump has agreed to this meeting in Alaska, which is actually going to be Putin's first time meeting with any major Western leader since Russia invaded Ukraine more than 3 years ago. So there's a few sides to this. On one hand, the NATO Secretary General, for instance, said that he believes that this is a step that is necessary towards reaching peace.
Friday will be important because it will be about testing Putin, how serious he is on bringing this terrible war to an end.
But on the other hand, there are concerns that this just hands Putin a win.
Oh, just by like the act of being on American soil, the act of meeting with the American president, and I guess the act of not having Zelensky in the room, that's sort of what makes this all a win for Putin.
Yeah, and John Bolton, who's the former national security advisor under the first Trump administration, said that he believes it is a mistake to hold this on American soil, legitimizing what he calls a, quote, pariah leader.
He's allowed Putin to get first mover advantage by putting his peace plan on the table first.
And he says is a chance for him to, quote, work his magic with Trump, applying that KGB training.
Whether intentionally or unintentionally, he pushed Trump further than Trump wanted to be pushed.
I also spoke to Senator Blumenthal, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, who is also highly critical of this.
Trump is falling for Putin's ploy, delaying and stringing him along and mocking America.
He had co-authored that tough sanctions bill in Congress along with Senator Lindsey Graham. And just weeks ago, he and Graham had both told me that they believe President Trump was on the cusp of signing off on this tough sanctions bill. But now, of course, there's this summit that is what everybody is focused on. And Blumenthal told me that Putin is playing Trump with this ploy of a summit, which he tells me he believes benefits Putin while undercutting U.S. credibility.
What might these negotiations look like, especially if Ukraine isn't involved?
Land, of course, is a key topic of discussion. The president actually suggested on the same day he announced this summit, he suggested that there would be, quote, land swapping, an exchange of land in order to reach a peace deal.
It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both.
Zelensky flat out rejects ceding any land. There are also concerns that there needs to be strong security guarantees in this peace deal as well. And Zelensky, he is saying that there hasn't been any real steps from Russia towards peace. That's why there needs to be pressure. That's why there needs to be sanctions. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Putin told Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff he would end the war in exchange for eastern Ukraine. The Wall Street Journal also reported that Europe and Ukraine presented its own peace plan to top U.S. officials, saying that no land concessions without ironclad security guarantees, including potential NATO membership for Ukraine. So huge questions here about if Putin is going to move at all. There are concerns from critics that Putin is not going to give any concessions in this meeting and that he's going to continue the same positions he's always had.
Yeah, it's kind of classic, negotiation psychology. If somebody gets in the room, you might leave it going actually, Eastern Ukraine doesn't seem like that big of an ask, or not letting Ukraine into NATO ever doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Let's go for it. That does seem like why some of these Europeans are very concerned that they won't be near this either. Selena Wang at the White House, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that summit is scheduled for this Friday. We're getting closer and closer to the official start of the college football season, and KSL will be there every step of the way with BYU football and basketball, too. Beginning next Monday, August 18th, KSL will launch a new nightly update show on the Cougars. BYU insider Mitch Harper will have the latest analysis of the Cougars quarterback battle, Big 12 matchups, and the opening game on August 30th. Can't listen at night? Well, you can also catch Mitch's video podcast of Cougar Tracks every day on the KSL Sports YouTube page. It's a show that you don't want to miss. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. KSL in the classrooms. Schools start going back this week. We are taking a closer look at chronic absenteeism and how the state is trying to get your kids to stay in school. And armed guardians at schools. We'll see how one school district is implementing a mandate from the state to protect your children. Forecast calls for really hot temperatures by the middle of the week. We're looking at 92 today and 100 by Wednesday. Now, ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. One person is dead. Dozens are hurt after an explosion at a U.S. steel plant in western Pennsylvania. Trisha Quinn says her brother worked there and was involved, and she's hearing different stories about his status.
I'm calling every hospital. The steel mill is not giving the families any information. There's no crisis line.
The ATF is on the scene of that explosion in Clairton. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser called President Trump's takeover of the police department unsettling and unprecedented. The president said he's putting the police under federal control and activating the National Guard to reduce crime, even though statistics show crime already declining in Washington. Health Secretary Robert Kennedy's at CDC headquarters in Atlanta 3 days after a shooting targeting the building killed a police officer. And the Texas House of Representatives unable to reach a quorum for the fourth time as Democrats remain out of the state, thwarting Republican redistricting. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A jury trial is now underway for a man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges here in Utah. KSL News Radio's Adam Small was in the courtroom for the start of the trial.
Nicholas Rossi is accused of raping a woman he briefly dated in 2008 after she tried to break things off with him. That woman was actually the first witness called to the stand after the jury took their oath and each side gave their opening arguments today. She tearfully recounted the night Rossi allegedly assaulted her in his bedroom, all while he watched from the end of the defense table in a wheelchair, just listening, keeping his eyes on her and not showing emotion. Court documents say the victim reported what happened to police after she saw Rossi in the news when he was fighting extradition from Scotland, where he was living under the name Arthur Knight, and that was after he allegedly faked his own death. Rossi's also being accused of another rape that prosecutors say happened in Utah County in 2008. That trial is expected to begin next month. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Salt Lake City is seeing more violent crimes this year compared to previous years. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The number of homicides for the first half of the year are down compared to 2024, but we're seeing more cases of rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. According to data compiled by the Major Cities Chiefs Association, it's a stark difference from what we're seeing nationally, where all 4 categories are on the decline. The report comes as Salt Lake City Police Chief Brian Redd tries to find his groove. The department and Mayor Mendenhall are working together to crack down on crime in the city after she recommended the previous police chief, Mike Brown, resign earlier this year.
Mayor Mendenhall gave an update to the city's safety plan last month, saying that they are on track to accomplish their long-term goals. A Utah family had a close call while camping in the backcountry this weekend when the Beulah fire in the Uintas started moving towards them. Nate Weaver tells KSL TV they couldn't get to their truck because of the fire, so they headed the other direction.
The kids were pretty worried about the situation, but I'm not a huge fan of consuming emergency resources if they're not absolutely necessary.
They ended up hiking 37 miles to get to safety. They used a map, compass, and a satellite text messaging with a family member to find their way out. A new fire started over the weekend in Tooele County. The Big Springs fire quickly grew to over 1,400 acres, but firefighters made a lot of progress yesterday, and it's now 75% contained. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 167 points, sitting at 44,005, a bit of an improvement from the past half hour. S&P 500 down by 10 points, and the NASDAQ down by 47 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account, and here's Jason Jones.
And it's a clear-looking commute right now, north and southbound on I-15. No accidents or delays there. The belt route is also looking good. If you're in and out of Tooele, you're not going to find any delays on 201 or I-80 in this at this point. Up into the canyons, it's also looking smooth that way, and no problems over on Bangerter or Mountain View Corridor. Maybe just a little bunching on the southbound side of Mountain View Corridor at 35th South. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures creeping up for the next couple of days. A high today of 92 up to 100 by Wednesday, and a chance of showers, about a 30% chance on Thursday, and a high of 96. 88 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right when it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors. It's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rainn.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL in the classroom. Nearly 1 in 4 Utah students misses school often enough to seriously jeopardize their academic progress. That's according to reporting from our partners at the Deseret News. State Superintendent Dr. Molly Hart, tells Inside Sources that chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% of the school year. For most, that means roughly 18 days. Dr. Hart says before the pandemic, the rates weren't as high, and over the last 5 years, the numbers haven't bounced back. What was it about the pandemic that changed the trajectory of school attendance?
That is the million-dollar question, and there's a lot packed in there. There's the fact that we put so much education, so much of the learning online, and students and parents may feel that they can just go online and get, quote, caught up, or families' priorities have shifted a little. They seem to be taking vacations more during the school year, and I believe probably with that same idea that we get back and we'll just catch up online, and the assignments are posted, or I'll get the assignments. Teachers also, in trying to be as flexible as possible and meet the students' needs, then get into this cycle where the student comes back and you need to help them get caught back up. And then next time, student or parent thinks, they got caught up last time. They can get caught up this time. Or there's also concerns about students and their social development, and students are developing those relationships through other activities, extracurricular activities. So maybe they're not feeling like school attendance is the only place to get those needs met. The problem is that there's a lot to school that's not just the assignments in class. Building habits for success, learning to work together in groups, learning about how to handle social situations. There's a lot of ancillary learning that happens in schools that students are just not getting.
As rates of absenteeism rise and continue to remain high, what is the state doing to try and get kids back into the classroom this year?
We have recently launched what we have termed Every Day Counts campaign, and it's to raise awareness and remove some barriers and just get students attending school regularly. It includes a challenge to schools and districts, and some common language and some clear messaging, just putting some tools together for our schools to really get the message out that there's more to an education than assignments, and it's really important and valuable for students to have that experience present at school.
Dr. Hart says, contrary to some parents' beliefs, it's not as easy for kids to get caught up with their work if they miss several days. And it's even harder on the teacher who's having to juggle teaching new topics while also trying to help other students not get left behind.
For instance, you take mathematics and you're gone for a week, and then you come back and you're trying to do work that's very dependent on the work that you learned last week. And so then you have a classroom where the differences in the students' learning are more exacerbated. The gaps are more pronounced. So you've got a teacher then managing students at different levels. It's just not that easy, and it's not so much of people ask parents aren't interested in straightforward, standardized, multiple choice, true false questions. They want our students to be able to, and their children to be able to do things make presentations and participate in debates and work together with their peers on creating things, building robots, building, simulations in social studies. You can't do that when students aren't present. So there's so much more to learning besides doing an assignment and turning it in for a grade. And that I think is important to explain. Of course, going on trips to see different parts of the world and spend time with family, it's important, absolutely. But at the same time, we have a job to do to get students ready for whatever their next step is, whether they're a third grader getting ready for fourth grade or they're a senior getting ready for whatever comes after graduation. We have a job to do, and we really need the students present in order to do it.
You can learn more about the new Everyday Counts program by visiting schools.utah.gov. KSL in the Classroom Hour special coverage continues on Midday. Kids already back in school down in southern Utah's Washington County. The school district there saying this will be the first year of the new statewide Guardian program. KSL 5 TV's Brian Carlson took a look at the program and how it's being implemented in and around St. George.
In some ways, they've been the model for the rest of the state. The school district, the local sheriff's office, and different police agencies there in Washington County have all been working together to make it happen. So here's where we're at. Last year, the Utah legislature passed a law requiring at least one guardian in every Utah school each day kids are in class. Each guardian is anonymous, must be trained, be a volunteer, and not a teacher or principal. They do get paid, but only for a one-time stipend of $500. In Washington County, that means 130 armed guardians in schools there in St. George and the surrounding areas. They even had 60 teachers go through that 40-hour training, which includes law and medical training, drills for mock scenarios, and shooting qualifications there on the gun range. Those leading the program here feel confident about the added protection they can provide.
To know that there are other people out there that are there to help us as law enforcement and know that they are that first immediate defense for a school until we can get there really makes us sleep better at night.
Now, it's gone so well here, the local sheriff's office says multiple counties have called Washington County and asked how they've had so much success. They attribute that to the support they're getting from the district and everyone else involved. Now, the school district says they will have armed guardians, enough of them to cover each of the 56 buildings there in the district as kids come back to class today. They even have enough to have an extra volunteer who can float from school to school as needed.
KSL 5 TV's Brian Carlson there, and like he said, the Washington School District is the first district to be fully staffed for the Guardian program. Let's take a...
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The owners of the state's only kosher food truck say they feel repeated thefts have been both personal and targeted. Rabbi Avremi Zippel tells KSL 5 TV they run a 200-foot copper wire to their food truck from their Sugar House synagogue. That wire has now been stolen twice, even with several security measures put in place that makes it hard to get to the wire.
We panicked and did whatever we could to get a new one as soon as possible, got back online so as not to interrupt service with our customers, and went to great lengths to secure it down, nail it down to the concrete in multiple locations across the property. And the thought that we had at the time was, maybe we were a little lackadaisical in securing it. This was a crime of opportunity. Two people come upon it. There's some value on the resale market. They make off with it. We'll make sure this doesn't happen again. Yesterday is our Sabbath, so we're kind of offline, and dozens of folks show up for services yesterday, and they kind of find two things at once, which I think at first blush it was unclear if they were connected. First of all, the lock is gone, and there's quite visible damage done to the various power outlets and the locks that were on it. This was something which required some attention. There is also a pile of human excrement right at the front of the building. It's kind of unclear, what on earth is going on over here. Once Shabbat concludes late last night, we go back and look at the security footage, and around 4 a.m. Saturday morning, a gentleman arrives at the property, someone working alone, brings a toolkit with him. So this was definitely a situation where this was certainly premeditated. This was not someone was walking home at night, was like, hey, copper wire, I could use some of that. Brought a toolkit, worked for about a solid hour unscrewing the mechanisms that we had put in place across the property. At about 5:15, walks through the area to the front door of our building where people would be entering services hours later, nowhere near the wire, relieves himself right outside the building and gets back on with the process, leaves the property at around 6 a.m. I think on our end, what we're feeling is that this certainly doesn't feel like, you left something on your front lawn overnight and someone made off with it. You left your car door unlocked. Someone happened to be going up the block, checking open car doors and, stole something from your car. This certainly is starting to feel like an intentional and personal pattern of behavior that, if this is just a crime issue, it's our sincere hope that SLCPD will be able to crack down on this. And if this is indeed specifically targeting the only kosher establishment in the state of Utah, targeting a synagogue with that sort of behavior, leaving a pile of human excrement outside the front door, then it's our hope and our fervent wish that this idea get dealt with in that matter as well.
Rabbi Zippel says they have video of both incidents and they've reported the thefts to police.
For a lot of people in the neighborhood, there's the reassurance that we're not becoming the sort of town where this sorts of activity becomes commonplace, where you've got to lock down anything and everything that moves with the greatest degree of vigilance possible, because crime of that level, of that magnitude, suddenly becomes something which we're accustomed to in Sugar House. The synagogue has been fortunate enough to call Salt Lake City, and specifically Sugar House, home for the entirety of its time in Salt Lake City. This has been a place where I have been raised and now raise my own kids. I love the neighborhood, and I certainly hope this is not an indicator of where the neighborhood at large is headed.
And he says they will not stop serving food to the community.
We have felt so loved and so welcomed in our neighborhood. We're proud to be a regularly recognized and honored truck across Salt Lake City. And we want to be able to reciprocate that to our customers. We want to be able to respond to them with the love and the admiration that they have for us. And so we're going to keep on keeping on. We're definitely not going to be intimidated by what seems to be evolving as a pattern of behavior. And we hope that law enforcement can do their bit to make sure that this sort of stuff is curtailed, and we'll keep on doing ours.
Rabbi Zippel says a GoFundMe has now been set up in hopes of paying for a more permanent power supply. From space debris to meteors, plenty to see in the sky this week. More on that in just a few minutes. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Jason?
Well, Maria, ever since we had that earlier accident eastbound I-80 just before 215, and that's been cleared, it's been a really quiet commute this afternoon. So that's a good thing, but don't go poking the bear and waking him up and causing any trouble. So drive with caution while you're out there. North and southbound I-15 looking good in from Ogden all the way down to Payson. No problems on the belt route. And even the congestion we saw over on Mountain View Corridor southbound at 35th South is mostly eased up at this point. Traffic's rough, but your parking lot doesn't have to be. Go Pave Utah keeps things smooth with expert asphalt maintenance at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's probably space debris. Vacationers and residents near Bear Lake got quite the show last night as something huge fell out of the sky. Matt Rice owns a lake house in the area, and he took a video while he watched with his family.
Guys, what is this? Something is crashing right now into Earth from outer space. Wow. I wonder if it was a satellite. I don't know. I'm not too sure what that is.
It's all I know is it's huge.
Oh yeah, that's
it
pretty.
Just broke up.
That's pretty big.
Dang.
Wow.
No word on what Matt saw, but it was bright orange and left quite a thick trail in the sky. While we're not sure what that was, there is something that'll be popping up in the sky this week that we do know more about. It's almost time for the annual Perseid meteor shower. Joining me now to talk about it is Jason Trump. He's the education supervisor at the Clark Planetarium. Jason, thanks for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, tell us about the Perseid and what we can expect to see.
Great. So this is the most popular meteor shower of the year because you can see sometimes up to 100 meteors per hour. So meteors is the science word. Scientists use that word. We call them shooting stars. And this is a shower of meteors. It's a meteor shower. So this is going to peak tomorrow night. You can go outside and look under the stars and see these shooting stars, these meteors, a lot of them all at once. It's really exciting.
So explain why this is so predictable and we know when it's going to come around every August.
Yeah, great. So what this is a result of is actually a comet called the Swift-Tuttle Comet. And it came around past the Earth last time in 1992, and it left behind a trail of debris. And so every year when the Earth is traveling around the sun and it runs into that debris, there's little bits of rock and ice that enter the Earth's atmosphere. And that is why it is predictable, because it happens every year.
So for those of us who want to catch a glimpse of these, what's our best way to see them? What time and where should we go? That kind of thing.
Well, you want to go somewhere dark, and especially that's true this year because the moon is actually going to be bright tomorrow night and here for the next little while. And so if you can go out, right after sunset before the moon rises, that's one thing. If you want to go out a little bit later in the night or into the morning hours where the meteors are a little bit more prevalent, you're going to want to go somewhere dark. So go to the West Desert, go up to the mountains up in the canyon, go to some of the dark sky sites that we have here in Utah and enjoy it from there.
I noticed a few people out on the top of Mount Olympus before light this morning. Is that maybe one of the reasons they would go up at that time of day?
Maybe.
I was like, what are those people doing up there?
Yeah, there's a lot of places nearby. Like if you're in the Salt Lake area, there's Antelope Island. There's North Fork Park up in the Ogden area. So you don't have to travel that far to go to darker skies, but the darker, the better for this event.
And I don't have to climb all the way to the top of Mount Olympus either, right?
That's right.
Explain why people get so excited about Perseids.
Well, the Perseids is a meteor shower that we get at a time of the year when you can go outside. It's not too cold, right? It's not too hot. It's not in the middle of summer either. And there is, again, a lot of meteors that you can see. There's the Perseids is well known for what we call a fireball, which is a really big meteor. You can sometimes get them bright enough that you can see some color associated with it, which is pretty cool. And so people get excited about this one in particular because there's other meteor showers all throughout the year, but this one has a lot of debris that is coming down through the atmosphere, and so you can see, as I stated before, about 100 meteors an hour is some of the best conditions, which is really fantastic.
Okay, now I've seen one or two, but I've never seen like up to 100 of them.
Yeah, and that would be over the course of an hour. Yeah, but it gets fantastic to be able to see them, especially when you catch a glimpse of those fireballs, those really bright ones. It just really puts things in perspective, and it reminds us that we are on this planet Earth that's traveling through space, and it's really a great learning opportunity and a great thing to experience for those that are looking to go out and see it.
Okay, you mentioned tomorrow night is the peak, but how long? I mean, do we have most of the week to see these?
It would be best, tomorrow night or even tonight or maybe a little bit later in the week. But this meteor shower is actually known for dropping off quite substantially after the peak. And so while I mentioned, the best conditions, you get 100 meteors an hour, well, that's going to drop, 50% the next day, that kind of thing. And it's going to keep going down from there. So anytime that you actually go outside, you can see meteors as well. So people should go out even if there's not a shower going on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Jason. Jason Trump is the education supervisor at the Clark Planetarium in downtown Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Outrunning a wildfire in the high Uintas, one family hiking nearly 40 miles to get away from the flames and smoke.
We saw clouds of smoke slowly getting bigger and bigger, and so that's when we noticed the helicopters and the planes and decided to evacuate.
The time is 2 o'clock on Monday, August 11th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll hear more from the Weaver family on their long hike to safety and how a satellite phone helped guide them away from danger. Also this hour,
asthma can start off as just a persistent dry cough that's worse at night, or a cough with exercise. It doesn't always have to be an audible wheeze.
Health Matters on Midday. We are digging into the causes and treatments for Utahns who have asthma. But first, our top stories. A jury trial is now underway in Salt Lake County for a man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges. KSL News Radio's Adam Small was in the courtroom today.
After years of investigation and a legal battle to bring him to Utah, Nicholas Rossi was wheeled into court today to stand trial for the alleged rape of his ex-fiancée in 2008. Rossi was brought in a wheelchair connected to an oxygen tank and dressed in a suit and tie. All 10 jurors were seated, heard opening arguments, then heard testimony from the woman who claims Rossi raped her 17 years years ago. Rossi stayed silent and kept his eyes towards her when she battled tears, telling the court he assaulted her after she tried to break things off with him. Court documents say she reported it to police after seeing Rossi on the news when he was fighting extradition from Scotland, where he moved to and went by the name Arthur Knight after he allegedly faked his own death. He's facing a separate rape charge in Utah County that prosecutors say also happened in 2008. He was identified through a DNA rape kit in that case several years later. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. Rescue crews are at the scene of an apparent steel plant explosion in Pennsylvania, where at least one person has died, 2 are believed to be unaccounted for, and dozens are hurt. Mayor Richard Latanzi of Clairton says the investigation is still in its very early stages.
No one knows what caused it, what the ignition source was. I did hear that there were some people that were injured, and it's just so unfortunate. I don't care if you broke a bone or you had a heart attack or you're in critical condition. It's all sad.
The blast occurred at the U.S. Steel Clairton Coke Works plant about 15 miles outside of Pittsburgh. President Trump says he is placing the Washington, D.C. Police Department under federal control and deploying the National Guard to make the nation's capital safer. He says it's needed to tackle homelessness and crime in Washington. The city's mayor today responded, calling the move unsettling and unprecedented. Ski jumping suits are in the spotlight today, with the next Winter Games just 6 months away.
When the Norwegian ski jumping team showed up at the World Championships in March, they dominated the slopes as usual. But some were wondering about whether the ski jumping suits they were wearing were on the up and up. Now the International Ski Federation has charged 2 Olympic gold medal skiers and 3 staffers on the Norwegian team with ethics violations, alleging the suits had been manipulated, designed with more wiggle room to aerodynamically help the athletes soar farther and faster. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow ending the day down by 200 points, nearly 0.5%, ending at 43,975. S&P down by 16, and the NASDAQ down by 64 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account, and here's Jason Jones.
Well, we got a little slowing southbound I-15 just past Kaysville. We're efforting to see what the cause of that is, but it's just minor slowing at this point. So it may be an accident, may not. We'll give you a full report of that as soon as we can figure out. However, we do know why I-80 is actually closed out in the Hoytsville area. As you're approaching Hoytsville on the northbound side from Wanship, it's I-80 is completely closed. There's a big accident out there, and that's what's causing that problem at this point. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures climbing back up to the triple digits, 92 for a high today, 100 by Wednesday, and a 30% chance of showers on Thursday. 89 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The Beulah fire continues to burn this afternoon in the high Uintas of eastern Summit County. As of today, it has burned roughly 3,000 acres and it's 0% contained. Evacuations are still in place for some areas near the fire, including the East Fork of the Bear River. Among those who had to leave was a family who had been hiking and fishing in the backcountry and had to hike their way out to safety. KSL 5 TV's Sarah Martin spoke with the Weaver family, starting with their daughter, Anna.
We were hiking up to Dead Horse Lake. Well, my dad has gone multiple times, so he knew where we were and he knew the area pretty well. But we were going up to Dead Horse Lake, and we stayed the night for one night before we saw all the smoke. The next morning, we were just out fishing, and we saw clouds of smoke like slowly getting bigger and bigger, and so that's when we noticed the helicopters and the planes and decided to evacuate.
Caleb Weaver says he woke up and he saw something odd in the sky.
We woke up and then we were just fishing. We look out and we're like, oh, that's a weird shaped cloud, kind of just at the very beginning, and then slowly became more and more obvious that it wasn't a cloud and started more orange and black at some parts, and so yeah, it just got more and more urgent and definitely scary.
Anna says they weren't really lost, but they did end up hiking a lot more than they originally expected.
We had a compass, and then we met some people that had a map, and my dad had been on parts of the trail before, and so we kind of just mapped our way out and found the closest trailhead possible, which ended up being 37 miles plus round trip for us, so it was a lot.
Their dad, Nate, says even with the helicopter circling overhead, he was determined to keep going.
The kids were pretty worried about the situation, but I'm not a huge fan of consuming emergency resources if they're not absolutely necessary. So I knew we had a way out and that we weren't in imminent danger. So with the helicopters overhead, if there were other people that were, in a worse situation than we were, then by all means, they should have taken that option. But we were going to find our own way out and do it the right way. So that's what we did.
Anna says the family had access to satellite messaging through a recent iPhone update, so they periodically texted their mom with location details, and she would advise them which direction to go from there. Nate says they also found good support from fellow backpackers.
The hikers we met up with, most of them were doing the Highline Trail, and so they weren't dropping down into the basin where the fire was. They were kind of bypassing it altogether. But it was good to have just people that we could ask questions to, especially on the parts of the trail that I wasn't familiar with. And it's always good just to run into folks, and see how they're doing and talk about trail life and all that good stuff.
The family's truck was on the other side of the fire line from them, which is part of what necessitated that long walk. But in addition to being able to celebrate their own safety, it turns out the truck is okay, too.
I figure my truck was probably 2 miles from the fire because we were way back on the dirt roads, only 4-wheel drive access. They wouldn't let me in yesterday, and I think that was more just there's a lot of different groups, police, sheriff, fire departments on scene, and they weren't all completely coordinated, which is fairly normal. But I got a call as soon as we arrived in Logan. The police were actually at our house saying, you need to come get your truck, even though they wouldn't let me in yesterday when I tried. So I got back this morning. My brother hauled me in there, and we were escorted by a conservation officer, and the truck is unburnt, so I'm good.
Oh, Anna says they all have a story to tell, but it was pretty hard to think of that at the time.
I mean, there were parts where it was just really defeating to get over a valley, and then you see 5 more valleys before we get to the pass that we were aiming for. And so we looked at this tiny patch of snow off in the distance, and we're like, hey, we are getting there by the end of the day. And 15 miles later, we got there, but it was a rough day.
And she says the reward at the end of the trek was worth it.
My mom came. She drove down from Logan and picked us up. That definitely wasn't part of the plan. So grateful that she was able to do that. And she actually hiked in a mile and met us, and so did the last mile out with us. And that was a surprise. We didn't know that she was going to be on the trail. So we saw her, and it was like a life. We were like, oh my gosh.
Nate also says it's a good reminder if you are headed into the backcountry, always have a plan B. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value, completely free. StubbsDental.com.
It wasn't long after shots rang out near Emory University in Atlanta last Friday that officials realized that the headquarters for the CDC may be the target. ABC's Faith Abube reports from Georgia with Start Here host Brad Milkey.
It was a chaotic and frightening scene. Just imagine Friday afternoon, people were packing up to leave the office and get their weekend started. And then all of a sudden, this is just before 5 p.m., people start hearing gunshots. This was happening on the Emory University campus. And as soon as officials learned about that, the active shooter alert went out to the university community, urging students and everyone on campus to basically run, hide, fight, to do whatever they can to survive. People are running, trying to take cover. Businesses are closing their doors.
Go back up. Just go drive that way.
Police responded almost immediately. Multiple jurisdictions, just hundreds of officers, dozens of police cars just descending onto the Emory University campus. Well, it turns out the activity was concentrated at a CVS that is on the Emory University campus, but it's actually directly across the street from the CDC headquarters here in Atlanta. So officers quickly figured out that the suspect was shooting at the CDC headquarters from across the street. It turned into a gunfight between the suspect and police, and sadly, we later learned that the suspect killed one of the officers who was responding to that active shooter call.
And they blocked the street right here, and the fireman says, run, shooter, run.
Later on, as all of this calmed down, investigators were able to find that suspect fatally shot inside the CVS. And at this point, they say they don't know whether he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound or whether he actually was shot by police during that exchange of gunfire.
My wife called and was whispering on the phone and saying that there's sounds like there's a shooter, glasses breaking all around, and she and several of her colleagues are on the floor.
As all of this was going on, nearby residents were placed on lockdown. There is a daycare that is at the CDC that had 92 children that night. Staff there just had to keep these kids distracted for hours and hours as this was going on. I remember one mom saying that, she had a 1.5-year-old who was inside that building. She was just worried. She just wanted to hug her child, but she just had to wait until officers felt that it was safe enough for them to actually reunite with their kids. And it wasn't until later that night, actually, that they bussed the kids off campus to reunite with their families.
Abube says a responding officer that was shot and killed, he had joined the police force in September of last year.
Perhaps the saddest part of all of this is that he's survived by 2 kids and his wife is pregnant with their 3rd child. He was recognized as a class leader at the police academy, and he's actually giving a speech in that video.
From the very first day, we learned that policing isn't just about enforcing the law. It's about protecting the vulnerable, standing for justice, and being the person who runs towards danger when others run away.
And so it just puts that into perspective for you when you think about how he died.
Right. And so then I guess that brings us to,
the suspect appear to be then shooting at the CDC headquarters. I mean, do we know what the motive would have been here?
Yeah, so investigators are still trying to determine that motive. They say they're interviewing a lot of people. They have a lot of evidence. This is a very complex investigation. But we have been able to obtain an email. It was sent to employees at the CDC this weekend. And the CDC leadership told the employees that they've learned that this was a targeted attack at the CDC related to COVID. We also have law enforcement sources telling ABC News that, they've done a preliminary assessment, and it shows that the suspect was blaming the COVID-19 vaccine for making him sick and depressed. On top of all of that, my team and I, we went into his neighborhood. We tried to talk to his dad. He declined to comment. But we talked to several neighbors there. They told us that, this 30-year-old identified as Patrick Joseph White would often share his conspiracy theories about the vaccine. One neighbor told me specifically that he thought the vaccines were killing him and that people needed to know the truth, and that he thought that the government and the media were covering up some details.
Because we heard the story on the news, and I just never thought that it would have been the guy right down the street.
And so this was someone who was deep into conspiracy theories. And it seems that this may have been the motivation. But again, we're waiting for official confirmation. I should point out, though, that medical experts have said that the vaccine is safe and effective. But if this was, in fact, the motive, it obviously didn't stop this gunman.
That is Brad Milkey and ABC's Faith Abube on the Start Here podcast. Car insurance premiums probably hurting your wallet. Well, economists say relief isn't coming anytime soon. In fact, they expect prices to rise some more. We'll get into that after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Jason?
And we're still seeing this slowing that's happening southbound I-15 just past Kaysville, headed down towards Farmington. Not seeing an accident, and it's just minor slowing, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. However, further south, there is slowing right now around the south interchange. Looks like an accident in place about 7200 south is where we're going to call that on the southbound side. And remember, they're calling it eastbound I-80, but it's kind of north at this point when you get past Wanship and turn north towards Hoytsville. That road is closed. Looks like a semi-trailer lost its load in the middle of the road there. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you're worried that your AC or your furnace is on its last leg and you don't want to delay, there are a bunch of energy credits that are set to expire in the next several months. There's a $2,600 federal tax credit, a $1,500 manufacturing rebate, plus rebates from your utility companies, all expiring. Right now, you can save nearly $7,000 on a new heating and cooling system. That's exactly what I did with the help of At Your Service Pros. And right now, At Your Service Pros is offering 15 months, no interest. At Your Service Pros is a family-owned company that's still providing fair pricing for anything on HVAC, plumbing, or electrical. A company that doesn't try to upsell you and wants to make sure that you get the best information possible with their new YouTube channel. They're also giving you a chance to win a free air conditioner on YouTube. Just search Healthy Water and Air and watch the AC giveaway video and leave a comment. You can also call At Your Service Pros now to get on their schedule. Call 801-YOUR-PRO, 801-YOUR-PRO.
Some things never change. Sure, we've expanded Inside Sources to 3 hours on KSL, and it's on 9 to noon. But the news, traffic reports, and weather updates that have been a part of your ride in the car since before you can remember, always there. And that will never change. Find us in your car at 102.7 FM.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. If the last 2 years of increased auto insurance premiums haven't been enough, brace yourself for the possibility of another big jump. The threat of tariffs are expected to result in a 7% increase by the end of the year. KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez spoke with certified financial planner Jerica Espinosa about the projection.
If tariffs hold, they're projecting that insurance premiums for cars could increase, for auto insurance could increase by 7%. On average, that means about $140 a year for the average individual because of higher costs. And that could affect families, especially if they're living paycheck to paycheck and not paying close attention to their budget. But people are always in control of their premiums. They don't have to be victims to it. They can be proactive and asking for different ways or different things and educating themselves on how to reduce their premium amount.
Espinosa says while tariffs and premiums don't seem to be tied to one another, it's all about the cost of auto parts that could cause such a big jump.
How insurance premiums work is they go up and down every year based off of their loss ratios. So basically, however many accidents people get in, how expensive that costs versus how much money they brought in through premiums. What tariffs have done on some of these is 25% to 50% of a tax when we import parts of our vehicles, whether full vehicles or cars. And so that increases the cost to repair them. So if you get in an accident and you need a part that's made across the seas, well, that now is more expensive. So even if all things were equal from last year to this year and people got in the same amount of accidents, they're more expensive to fix. So that cost would then trickle down and increase the premiums. And so that would go, it wouldn't be immediately, but that's why they're saying by December-ish, because they went into effect around April and May. And so they're saying that it would increase by December because of the passing along those increased costs.
Espinosa says Utahns could soon be paying around $2,000 a year in car insurance.
As far as what to expect, so if you're following the average, which is around, they say it's around, experts say it's around 1,978, something like that. So if you were going to get a 7% increase, what that translates to is $140 more a year or $11 a month, however you want to describe that. I'm sure that's how everyone would love to spend their Christmas bonus is on the increase in insurance premiums. But just because insurance premiums increase does not mean you have to stay at the same place. You can shop around. You can ask your insurance agent if there's any discounts for good driving, etc. There's a lot of things that you can do. A lot of people haven't even talked to their insurance agent before, so that's a great place to start to see if there's any wiggle room for things. Or some people have cars that have just been on forever and they can lower some of the coverages if they don't drive them often, etc. So there's a lot of different things that people can do to prepare for that.
She also says the problem is amplified by the increased costs of other types of insurance that are needed by families.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, insurance premiums, I'm sure everyone's felt it, have gone up quite a bit, some 10 to 20%. And again, due to those loss ratios of accidents being costs and then costs just being passed down to people. But usually it stays right around that 3 to 5% per year, just a normal inflation cost, which people to expect. But they have, and all sorts of premiums, right? Homeowners insurance, all sorts of stuff around the insurance industry has increased in the last couple of years. And people have felt that and mentioned that specifically as they're looking at that. And there's a lot of conversations around people that are paying for their kids, their adult kids, and and just different ways to handle those conversations, and if some of the costs should be passed down to the kids, etc. Because of the increased cost of insurance.
Yeah,
premiums.
let's not forget that many people have more than one car.
Some people have 6 to 9 cars on there, and yeah, that would be a big increase if they're all fully insured, and then even more if they've got accidents or tickets or things like that that are making them go up even further, which is going to be frustrating.
Espinosa says now is the time to talk to an insurance agent and shop around for lower premiums based on your needs. Here's some interesting educational news you may not have known, and it has to deal with the number of students who go from a 2-year college to a 4-year university here in Utah. 3/4 of the students who attend Salt Lake Community College plan to go on for a 4-year degree. College President Greg Peterson says that's not surprising given the average age of their students.
In our Salt Lake Technical College, our students are older. The average age is about 33. So when you're 33, you have a better sense of what you want to do. When you're younger, 18, 19, 20, you just know you want a good job. So the majority of our students come in on a transfer path thinking that that bachelor's degree will get them to a good job. And then we see them majoring in health sciences, right? Because health, a nurse is a good job, or a doctor, or we see them in business. That's the other area where most students see the potential to have a good career.
While SLIC focuses on associate's degrees, their mission includes the goals of all types of students.
Our goal is to make sure that they get there, that they have some type of credential to build at this goal as they continue on, and then to make it easier for them to get there. So I think as we talk about, if we see transfer as just an extended career, it's a lot easier for us to think that really our mission is supporting students wherever they are on that continuum.
Peterson also says the number of minority students served by the school has not declined due to the threat of deportation.
The question got asked of, have we seen our students disappear because of the threat of raids or just the fear of the unknown? And the response was, no, we haven't, because of our relationships with our community partners. So I think that's the key piece, is that if we try to do it alone, then the volatility, right, building that trust and sustaining it. But if we can partner with communities that can also have that trust, that we're able to then maintain environments that are safe, make sure that we are fulfilling our duties as a public entity, and then providing all opportunity possible for our students.
He also says the school's retention rate is good because of the way students can enter and re-enter the system based on their needs. But he also says it's problematic for students on a traditional pathway.
The majority of our students, 75% of our students are part-time. So last year, if we looked at our traditional student body, we had 37,000 students, 27,000 of them were part-time. So the idea is that by giving something shorter, a student can, what we don't call it dropout, we call stop out. They can stop out, they get the credential, stop out, they can work, gain money, and then come back for the next step. So everything we build is stackable, so that doesn't deter them from continuing on to complete that 4-year psychology degree that they're really interested in. But the challenge is, if you think of return on investment for a student, if you're on a traditional pathway for a transfer degree, you don't get your ROI until you've completed 60 credits and you transfer and get that associate's degree, or even further after. Our part-time students struggle because that's not only 4 years, that's 8 years, 9 years. So their ROI, if we can get them something, they get a certificate, they get some bump in pay, they're able to sustain their families to be able to continue that pathway on. We lose more students on that traditional pathway. And when we lose them, they lose out because they haven't gained from that experience.
Greg Peterson is the president of Salt Lake Community College. It's 2:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Health Matters on Midday. We're talking about all things relating to asthma, including causes and treatment. And today is the anniversary of the 1999 Salt Lake City tornado. I'll share some thoughts and memories. But first, our top local stories coming up in 1 minute. First, though, we'll have ABC News. Temperature today, a high of 92, up to 100 Wednesday.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. 1 person was killed, 10 were hurt in an explosion at a U.S. steel plant in Clairton, western Pennsylvania. Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis said,
"The Mon Valley is home for me. And so today I'm particularly holding the workers, the steel workers, and all those who are affected close to my heart."
Officials are pledging a full investigation into the cause. The mayor of Washington, D.C. said President Trump's decision to take over the city's police department is unnecessary, but vowed to follow the law. President said the takeover and the National Guard deployment for law enforcement is needed because of crime, although statistics show crime in Washington, D.C. decreasing. The Texas House of Representatives unable to reach a quorum for the fourth time because of the number of Democrats who've left the state to thwart the Republican redistricting plans. And Health Secretary Robert Kennedy is visiting CDC headquarters in Atlanta. He's meeting with leadership after last week's shooting targeting the building. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The Washington County School District kicked off its first day of school ahead of the curve when it comes to state requirements to put armed guardians in every school. KSL TV's Brian Carlson reports.
It's the first day of the year for kids at Majestic Fields Elementary, just outside St. George. One of the first schools in Utah now back in class, and now with more protection for students in case of threats to their safety.
Our parents should feel 100% confident that their children are safe and secure while they're in our buildings.
The Washington County School District has armed guardians for each of the school's 56 buildings and enough extra volunteers to offer additional support.
Where we had Washington County School District employees coming out of the woodworks to volunteer for this program.
Guardians are volunteers who trained and are also anonymous. The training includes shooting qualifications, mock drills, and more. 1 in 4 Utah students have missed more than 18 days of school. State Superintendent Molly Hart thinks its chronic absenteeism is because of it's being driven by school being more online.
Students and parents may feel that, they can just go online and get, quote, caught up. Or families' priorities have shifted a little. They seem to be taking vacations more during the school year, and I believe probably with that same idea that we get back and we'll just catch up.
Utah's current absenteeism rate is about double what it was during the pandemic, but down from 2023. Overall, Utah is improving its rate of teacher retention. Schools have kept 91% of their teachers in the state over the last 10 years. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly reports.
The Jordan School District Superintendent, Dr. Anthony Godfrey, tells Inside Sources they make sure all their teachers feel like they're part of a team. It begins when new hires are put into a support program so they know where to turn when questions or problems arise. Godfrey says making sure teachers, but especially the new ones, know they are valued helps keep them working in Utah.
Dr. Godfrey says it actually starts by hiring the right people from the beginning. A woman was arrested in Orem after police say she got frustrated about her cell phone and tried to shoot it. A neighbor found the bullet hole in his fence. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day down 200 points, nearly 0.5%, ending at 43,975. S&P 500 down by 16. The Nasdaq down by 64 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Jason Jones.
Looks like there might be a stalled vehicle off to the side of the road, southbound I-15, as you approach Farmington. That's what's causing that minor slowing up there, just past Kaysville. We do have an accident southbound I-15. This is about 7,200-ish south, just past the south interchange. And delays are stretched back to about 53rd south at this point in time. And northbound or eastbound I-80, whichever you want to call it, once you get past Wanship anyway, it remains closed just before you get to Hoytsville. In fact, everybody's being diverted off of I-80 in the Wanship area. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Expect the high temperatures to reach 100 by Wednesday before slowly going down to the low 90s by Friday. 30% chance of showers on Thursday. 90 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you could tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the
Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. While the air quality in the Salt Lake Valley this summer has been better than in past years, inversion trapped in our air is a big concern for those with health conditions such as asthma. In our latest Health Matters on Midday, I spoke to family medicine doctor Richard Ferguson, who tells me there's a greater prevalence of asthma in Utah than in other parts of the country.
10 or to 11% of Utah adults have asthma, and about 7% of Utah children. So that's our kind of prevalence right now. Nationally, just in comparison, it varies based on state. It's 5 to 10% of the U.S. population is asthmatic. And it typically develops, we have more of our allergic asthma typically in childhood, but then there's also non-allergic asthma that often can develop in those greater than 40. But yes, it's kind of like a 10% of adults or 11% of adults and about 7% of children. And one thing I think many people, as you said, our air quality hasn't, been as bad as, I think you remember the fire, the Dixie fire from August 6, 2021. You remember that date? That was a really, really, really bad air quality day. And I did not realize that, and I did something unwise. I took my family on a hike. So once again, increased exposure outdoors. I'm a non-asthmatic, so didn't think about it. But one of my family's members did have mild asthma, and I took them on an Ensign Peak hike on that day. Should have done much better because they ended up being mild exacerbation of their allergies and their asthma for about 2 days that had to be brought down with frequent short-acting use of their inhaler, but also even steroids. So one thing to pay attention to, since I did it back a couple of years ago, is our air quality index. So that's something that you will see when you're looking at KSL News, ABC, when you're on your news station, the weatherman or weatherwoman is up. They will often have that green, yellow, orange, red, sort of that dot by air quality, by the temperature. That is telling you what's the level of air pollution and which group should be more concerned about their exposure and how long they should be outside, especially during yellow, orange, and red days. Even black days. I'm often a big runner. I myself will avoid anything that's red. I will not run day or night on a red day. Orange days, shorten my run. But for someone that's in a higher risk group, a known asthmatic since childhood, or your child has asthma, you need to reduce, let's say they're doing a sports practice, they need to reduce how long they are running outside or to make sure that they are pre-medicated before they start, especially if they get worse with exercise, especially when it comes to an orange or yellow day. We can't really take those for granted because it's slowly, those particulates, we can't visibly see them, but people don't realize what you're exposed to in the day can make your night a lot worse.
Let's go back for a second. You mentioned that children, so let me understand if I have this right, their asthma is usually triggered by some sort of allergy. Just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So allergic asthma. So indoor and outdoor allergens. So some of the most common are pollen and mold. And then when it comes to indoor allergens, that can often trigger asthma exacerbations or worsening asthma. It can be something as simple as an allergy to dust mites, also indoor mold, pet dander, or fur. So those type of triggers complicate when someone has poor air quality or very cold air, which we do actually get quite a bit of here in our winters.
But then you mentioned that some adults get asthma, and to me that's kind of concerning because they may not even know at the onset that that's what the problem is.
Oh, of course. Yeah, because asthma can be, if we just want to talk about some of the features, it can start off as just a persistent dry cough that's, say, worse at night, or a cough with exercise. It doesn't always have to be an audible wheeze. It can just be like, wow, I'm playing with Beehive soccer, and I'm playing in Liberty Park, and afterwards I'm a little short of breath, and then it just sort of slowly eases once they go into, say, a cleaner air environment, such as indoor filtered air, and then their shortness of breath or tightness goes away. So sometimes it can be something as simple as getting in a deep breath, or unable to fully exhale as much as you would like. It could be some of those subtle early symptoms of adult onset that can actually be a result of non-allergic form of asthma. So you can have cough variant, exercise-induced, and we also have to consider occupational-induced asthma when we're exposed to certain particulates in, say, a factory or plant, or in mining industry.
So you mentioned that this is more slow to come on, so people probably don't know that they have it originally, but I'm assuming that it always gets worse at that point after you have that initial kind of slow onset period?
Yes. If you're not avoiding triggers or managing it, it often can get worse.
What does an action plan look like, and how important is it for folks who are struggling with asthma to have one?
So this is something you work out with your doc. It's a simple card where it'll have a green area, which is if you're breathing well, no cough or wheeze. It already kind of you're stating the medications you're currently on, how much of them that you're taking, and how often. When you get in the yellow, that's when your baseline daily medication isn't effective, and you're starting to, let's say you have signs of a cold, or you're starting to have that impact of that trigger from being outside running, or you have a mild wheeze or some chest tightness, so you're starting to cough at night. It'll tell you how to change your medications that you have on hand that are long-acting, such as ones that you take every day. It may actually involve saying, all right, if you start to feel this way, increase your dose until you go back down to the green level where you no longer have a cough, no longer have a wheeze. Or it'll be something such as you now need to take your as-needed inhaler, increase the frequency instead of once a day as needed. Now you're doing it possibly 3 times a day as needed. And then usually at this point, you're trying to possibly call to schedule to get in with your provider that manages your asthma. And then the red zone is telling you what to do. Medicines aren't helping, or breathing is very hard. You're starting to have noises that are very loud wheezes that may be occurring, or your ribs may be showing in your child. Those are medications that you're trying to max out. If you're not getting any benefit in, say, the next hour or 2 hours, that's when you're going to the emergency room. Sometimes I'd have to say about only 10% or so of folks that I've taken care of in the emergency room, where I say, all right, do you have an asthma action plan that kind of led you here? Do you have one? And only about 10%. Often, I think either people don't remember after maybe their first visit, or they're not going to discuss them as they should annually when it comes to managing. So that's one thing that you can do that's proactive, that you can use to manage your symptoms on these poor air quality days.
All right. Dr. Ferguson, anything you'd like to add that maybe I failed to ask you?
I would just say if you are inside and you're an asthmatic, make sure that on bad air quality days or throughout the summer, make sure you're changing your filter for your furnace, your AC, your AC or furnace dual. Make sure that's changed out probably almost a little more regularly, so that at least when you're home, your air is filtered and cleaner than outside. Sometimes we forget to do that. And also make sure that you're changing your linen and your sheets regularly, because there's quite a bit of allergens that can kind of rest on that, especially, let's say, if you're opening the windows at night. It gets cooler in our evening, and we don't realize that we're letting in that poor quality air that eventually gets into our filter and gets on many objects in our home.
Dr. Richard Ferguson is an ER doctor and the founder of the Black Physicians of Utah. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
We are now learning about a scary situation last week when a car was stolen with a baby inside from the Gateway parking garage. Luckily, the man stopped just long enough for the mother to grab her baby back. But kids and car safety say that we've already had 51 cases of kids left unattended in a car that wound up being stolen. Amber Rollins is the director of Kids and Car Safety, and she joined me live earlier today to break down those numbers.
These cases really are all very similar. They don't happen in, quote unquote, bad neighborhoods. They're happening in places where people least expect it to happen and where they feel kind of comfortable walking away from their car for a minute. Mostly, places like convenience store parking lots, the driveway of people's homes. Car thieves are watching and waiting because these are crimes of opportunity. They know people are going to leave their car running or their keys sitting inside just to run in somewhere real quick. And most of the time, they have no idea there's a child in the back seat until they've already taken off with that car and the child in tow. And you can imagine the panic that sets in as soon as they realize, oh my gosh, I have now stolen a car and a child. And really, really scary things happen after that. We've had high-speed chases, children dumped on the side of the road. We've even had situations where the child lost their life. So this is easily preventable and something that, it's just don't leave them in the car, not even for a minute.
We know that parents are stressed out. They're frazzled these days. Are there some options for them?
Yeah, especially coming out of the pandemic, we have so many different options. So, we always tell parents, set yourself up for success. Do your shopping online, do the grocery delivery, eliminate those risks, pay at the pump, and, just know that it's never okay to put our convenience above the safety of our children. I'm a mom. I've got kids in the 5-point harness, and I know it's a lot of work to buckle, unbuckle, especially if you forgot something inside and you're just going to run in for 1 second. What could go wrong? I think that's what goes through people's minds. And a lot can go wrong in less than a minute. So it's just make it a 100% rule that you never leave the kids alone in the car, not even to run back into the garage to grab something.
That is Amber Rollins, the director of Kids and Car Safety. We are getting closer to the official start of the college football season, and KSL will be there every step of the way with BYU football and basketball, too. Beginning next Monday, August 18th, KSL will launch a new nightly update show on the Cougars. It will air from 6:30 to 7. BYU insider Mitch Harper will have the latest analysis of the Cougars quarterback battle, Big 12 matchups, and the opening game on August 30th. Can't listen at night? You can catch Mitch's video podcast of Cougar Tracks each day on the KSL Sports YouTube page. It's a show that you just don't want to miss.
Dude, there's a tornado coming our way, dude.
26 years later, the effects of the Salt Lake City tornado can be seen around the area. We'll take a look back next. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Jason.
Same trouble spots we've had the last little bit this afternoon. A little slow southbound I-15 between Kaysville and Farmington. And this accident southbound I-15 at about 7200 south off to the right side. But it is causing some delays stretching back to about 53rd south at this point. And, of course, eastbound I-80 or northbound I-80, whichever one you want to call it. It's when you've turned to go northbound from Wanship up to Hoytsville. That road is closed. It's due to a hazmat spill in the area. And so you're going to have to get off at one ship. And I'm not sure where to go from there, but they're going to get you off at one ship any way you look at it. Step back in time at the Utah Renaissance Fair, August 22nd and 23rd. Enjoy exotic foods, performers, and artisan treasures. Get your tickets now at utahrenfair.org. Let the adventure begin. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very... Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Americans may not agree on much, but we agree on Social Security. We all pay in. It ought to be there when we need it. Social Security could face a funding gap in less than a decade, and I don't want to see a pay cut. I'm with AARP in the fight to protect the Social Security we earned.
Pledge to protect Social Security at aarp.org/weearnedit. That's aarp.org/weearnedit. Paid for by AARP.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text Office 44 to 32 32 32. Office 44 to 32 32 32. CordellCordell.com.
Regardless of how old your air conditioner is, there are a few things you can do to help it last as many summers as possible. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and like so many things in our life, it's easy to take our air conditioner for granted. If you keep a clean filter, rinse the outdoor unit off every once in a while, and have it serviced once a summer, you can reduce your risk of unexpected breakdowns. But eventually it will break down, and if someone tells you that your only option is to replace it, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You could save thousands of dollars repairing it instead of replacing it. Any Hour rarely comes across an air conditioner that just can't be repaired. That doesn't mean you won't choose to replace it anyway, but being told you don't have options, that's not cool. So if you want honest answers and straightforward options, give Any Hour Services a call. And remember, every week this summer, Any Hour Services is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer as part of our Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can see official rules or schedule your service at anyhour.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The powerful force of wind on full display in movies.
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows. Another cow.
Actually, I think that was the same one.
And in real life, we did not have cows in Salt Lake City's tornado, but it touched down 26 years ago today. KSL TV broke that news that day.
We've got some breaking news this afternoon. Reports of what is either being called a major windstorm. Some are saying a tornado has blown through Salt Lake City.
This tornado passed between our Triad Center and the Delta Center.
The general manager, who had been up on the second floor, he had a corner office. He came down the back stairs and came into the newsroom and said, "Everybody, go downstairs into the basement. There's a tornado coming." You know, we're all news people. We did nothing.
Joining me for this story is Midday executive producer and the lover of natural disasters in general, Andy Cupp.
Maria.
Yes.
I forced you into doing this one because
did.
you don't get to talk about yourself enough on this show.
Yeah,
and so this is an opportunity. I want to know
I'm ready.
what it was like because you were working here. I mean,
Right.
we just listened to KSL TV, but KSL News Radio was also there in the thick of it.
We broke up before them, by the way.
Probably. Recap the day for us, Maria. What was it like?
So I was sitting in this very room, this very same master control. We were doing the noon show, and at that point we had 2 hosts doing the show. And suddenly the power went out. And so Scott Seeger was running the board, and the power went out. I looked across the street, and at that time we had the Outdoor Retailers Expo setting up tents in the parking lot across the street. And we went from a beautiful day like it is today, and within minutes it was black outside, and the tents across the street were bouncing up and down. Now, you have to understand, I have 2 little boys, right, at home. And just months earlier, in January of that same year, we had this shooting here at Triad Center where I was stuck under this desk for quite a long period of time. I get more dramatic every year. I think I make it longer. But when that happened and the alarm was going on out in the newsroom, I left the room. I totally abandoned ship. And I ran down the stairs and got about halfway down the hallway down the stairs before my husband called. He worked at Utah Woolen Mills, the top floor at that time, and said, "It's okay. It's past us." And so then I came back. So I was only out of the room for maybe a minute max, but I totally abandoned the ship because I was so freaked out that I'd leave these 2 little kids without a parent.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
I was running for cover.
Yeah.
And it was just a crazy afternoon after that because you know what? All the systems go down, communication systems go down. And our reporters couldn't report on their 2 ways like they normally did. We have cell phones now, but that wasn't really the case back in 1999. And so they really couldn't call in and give reports. And so what ended up happening is, since it was happening all outside of our windows here, they would run out to the street and interview people. And seriously, South Temple was shattered glass. All the way from the Delta Center, the one half of the Delta Center was pretty much taken out. The hotel across the street here, all the glass was taken out. And the one person who did die was under one of those tents that I was telling you was bouncing up and down. And that tornado just moved all the way up South Temple. Didn't take out a crane, which was doing some construction work. We have construction work now at the temple. Didn't touch that, but went up to Capitol Hill, and it took out all of these gorgeous trees that had been there for years and years and years. So that's why the Capitol grounds now don't have very many trees because they were taken out, and then took out the roofs of several houses up in the avenues as well.
No, and it's just a crazy experience. I remember hearing about it driving through on a family trip in Montana at the time, and it was big news because Salt Lake City had never had
and haven't
tornado.
had one since.
Yeah.
26 years. Oh, knock on wood. Okay, yes, I am.
Say it's still early. But I mean, how long was your day? How long were you on air after that had happened?
Well, I'm always on air till 7 o'clock. And I do think that we went until, I don't remember that day going till after 7 o'clock, even though on 9/11, that day was incredibly long. But yeah, no, till 7 o'clock.
Well, and as you drive around Salt Lake City today, do you ever have those memories of the destruction? I mean, you were just saying you can't even believe it's been 26 years.
Right. When I go up to Capitol Hill for sure, because I used to be a beat reporter on Capitol Hill, so I spent a lot of time up on Capitol Hill. Whenever I drive up to Capitol Hill now, since I don't go up there very often, I am just struck at how bare it is compared to what it used to be. So yeah, I have those moments.
Jeff, have you ever lived through a tornado?
When I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
We were at a circus, a big top circus, and the wind started blowing and knocking the tent over, and my mother grabbed the 2 kids, us, and we ran for our lives, and it just made The Wizard of Oz more poignant.
Oh, for sure.
No, there's something to be said about the power of wind.
Well, and what to me, one of the most striking things is just how quickly it happened. And we had a beautiful day, and it really seemed like it was within minutes that it hit, and the skies were black. And that just to see those bouncing, I'll never forget that sight of those bouncing tents across the street. And it wasn't surprising to me that someone who had been setting up for the outdoor retailers market or whatever you call it out there, expo, that's the word I'm looking for,